Hello, everyone, and welcome back to VO in Stereo. We're here again, and always we have another special guest, very special guest to me, also a Georgia boy, or Georgia man, I should say. Please help me welcome professional bass player, VO talent extraordinaire, Bryan Howard.
How's it going?
Fantastic.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yay!
And
Thanks
always
for-
with me, my partner in crime, Stephen Coghill. Second
always
episode
forgets
in a
about
row, I've forgotten my beautiful, my man partner.
Good, Steve.
Why you?
Why you?
If I could only reach across there.
Welcome, Bryan, man. Thank you so much. I know things have kind of calmed down for you, but I know before this has been super freaking busy. You're a man of many different things and many different talents.
Yeah, it was pretty busy. Whenever the lockdown happened, I was all right. So I was on tour with Cracker, and we were David, who's the singer, songwriter, main songwriter, was calling it the 4950 tour because we were going to do Alaska, and we had a few days off. Then we were going to Hawaii. Ooh. So we had 2 shows in Alaska. The first night, some folks were calling and asking for refunds because of, everything going on. And they actually wound up canceling the second night. Now, I was supposed to go to LA to do some studying with some VOs instead of going back to Georgia, then to Hawaii. But, I was like, I might as well just go back home because who knows how this is going to work out. And here I am. So it's, at this time of year, usually it's like the day after Thanksgiving is when our winter tour starts.
Yeah.
So I think Steven came out last winter at the 9:30, probably in January or something.
Yeah. I think it was January, February, something like that. Yeah, great show though.
Thanks. It's a lot of fun. I always get excited about playing the 9:30 club.
I love that place. That's a great sound system
Amazing.
too. Yeah, really great. Well, thanks for being on. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to our silly asses. But I do have my first question to you, sir, is where were you born?
I was born in Arlington, Virginia, and grew up in Alexandria, Virginia. Then moved to Georgia in 96. So the plan was I moved down with my old band called Slack Daddy. Because 96, the Olympics were going to be happening in Atlanta, and there were a few events in Athens. So obviously the venues are going to be packed every night. We're going to get in, and we're going to be an overnight sensation, and then we'll be rich. It didn't happen like that.
Imagine that.
But so we moved down and here for the Olympics. And
so where did you have siblings?
Yes, I have a brother and 2 sisters. And they're all still in Virginia.
And are they musically inclined?
They play the radio.
They sing in the shower?
And my brother messes around with guitar. In fact, my brother is getting into the world of voiceover.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I see.
So
yeah.
Did you tell him that you knew a guy?
Yeah.
Might be able to help you out.
That's awesome.
Give you a few tips.
Right. Yeah, so Alexandria, and then I went to school in Harrisonburg, Virginia, in the Shenandoah Valley, James Madison. And then that's when I decided, I really just want to take my chances and go to Athens, Georgia. We had a few places we were looking at, Asheville, North Carolina, and Athens, but we went to visit Athens first and just loved it.
Now, how did you get into music?
What's that?
How did you get into music?
Oh, it's just something I was always drawn to. I was in a fife and drum corps in elementary school. And
did you play fife or drum?
I started on fife and then worked up to drum. I wound up being drum major for several years. But so some of the guys from the fife and drum corps became the first band I was in. So after performances, we would go back over to Andrew's house and practice. So I got started playing in bands when I was 11, 12.
Wow.
Yeah.
Started playing professionally in bars at 15.
Nice.
And you were playing drums?
No. Not a chance.
You weren't playing drums. What were you playing?
No, I was playing bass at that point.
Oh, you were playing bass. When did you switch from drums to bass?
It was with that first band, probably within the first few months. The guy who was playing bass decided he wanted to play drums. And in the process of trying to convince him why the bass was so cool and he should stick with that, I kind of convinced myself that maybe I should switch over because it was infinitely cooler, in my opinion.
Interesting.
Look how right you were. Hey.
Slap the bass, slap the bass.
Thing worked out.
Absolutely.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And what other instruments do you play?
What else do I play?
Yes.
I played saxophone in the junior high and high school band. I played tuba. And I fiddle around with, guitar and piano and a little bit with drums.
Ooh, the tuba. Have you ever followed someone that is my size with the tuba behind them? Because that's very not nice if you have done that.
Technically in the marching band.
Right? Technically. I was about to say, you guys could have kept all your uniforms from high school and been like just a drum band. You could have been the Nutcrackers, because that's kind of what all the uniforms always look like. It'd be freaking sweet. We play holiday shows only.
Oh, man, I wish I still had my uniform.
Bust that thing out on Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
I remember I was driving in the middle of the night. It was like cold, really freezing in the middle of the night, and I'm driving through a neighborhood, and all of a sudden we almost ran into a marching band in the middle of the street. I didn't understand, like it was in a neighborhood in the middle. I was like almost like, oh my God.
Oh, crazy.
I don't understand why they're out in the middle of the cold, in the middle of the street, in the marching band and all their uniforms, but.
And that's why you don't eat shrooms during the holidays.
Important tip for all you people out there. And all right, so you learned all these instruments and you got into bands. And how did you wind up in Cracker?
Well, it all started really with a guy named Kevin Kinney. So I used to work at a club. It's a pretty popular club called the 40 Watt Club in Athens, Georgia. So I worked there for years. And one of the reasons that I wanted to move to Athens was there was a singer-songwriter here in town named Kevin Kinney, who I just loved. So I'm working one night, Cheap Trick was playing.
Good.
And it was back in the day when they're like, you should always have a copy of your cassette just in case you need it. So I had a copy of my cassette, and everyone's like, "Oh, look, it's Cheap Trick, it's Robin Zander or Buddy Carlos, or whatever." And I was like, "Is that Kevin Kinney?" And they're like, "Yeah, he's here all the time." So it took me 2 years before, or 2 years after moving to Athens before actually meeting him. So I went up to him and introduced myself, said I was a fan, and if he ever needed a bass player, give me a call. So I never heard anything until about a year later. I got a message from his manager that said, "Kevin wants you to learn the song Peacemaker and come out and play it with him at his show at the 40 Watt. So I'm ecstatic, and I go down, sound check, and go through it. Peacemaker actually sounds pretty good. And then we go and we're waiting backstage for the show. He's like, "Well, let's just all go out together." And we never played Peacemaker. But so I didn't hear anything for probably another year. And I was like, "Oh man, I blew it. I wish I had." And then I got a message from his manager, came and found me at the 40 Watt and was like, hey, Kevin wants you to go on tour with him. So I went on tour playing bass with him for his record called Broken Hearts and Auto Parts. And then from there, another band started called Kevin Kinney's Sun Tangled Angel Revival that I was in with Kevin and Gib Droll and Dave B. Johnson. The record, I think, like there were some special guests like Dave Schools from Widespread Panic and Edwin McCain. So I toured with Kevin for about 8 years. And then things were slowing down and, he was dealing with some stuff. And he recommended that I go out with Arlo Guthrie's daughter, Sarah Lee, for a while. So we wound up, Dave Johnson, the drummer who I'd been playing with, we wound up playing with Sarah Lee and Guthrie and Johnny Irion for a few years.
Wow.
And it was on that tour where I met Brian Ritchie, who was a friend of Kevin's growing up in Milwaukee. Brian Ritchie's a bass player for the Violent Femmes.
Milwaukee.
So then the Violent Femmes were, and still are, one of my favorite bands. Just love that band. So I got up the nerve. Kevin gave me his number, and I called him and invited him out to the show. And he actually showed up, and he stood on the side of the stage like this.
Stone-faced.
It's the whole time. Totally freaked me out. And then afterwards, it was very complimentary, very cool, and said, hey, we're going to be in Charlotte October 29th for a show. Do you want to come out and play bass on Daddy Gone so I can play xylophone? And from there, it kind of worked out into a thing of anytime they were within like a 200-mile radius, they would, call me and I'd come out to shows. And I think once he was like, hey, is Missouri too far to drive? It's a bit of a haul. 10 minutes later, there's a plane ticket.
Nice.
So from there, come back home, things kind of slowed down. And I was playing in a band here in town called Free Mountain. And afterwards, David Lowry from Cracker came up and was very complimentary. And I told my wife later that I was like, I have a feeling I'm going to wind up working with him in some capacity. And then July 2nd, 2012, I got an email from David's wife and the band's manager asking if I could fill in for a month on the Last Summer on Earth tour, which was Cracker, Blues Traveler, Big Head Totten Monsters, and Bare Naked Ladies. So with 2 days notice, I fly out to Richmond, get on a bus, and here we are, 8 years later. I was only on that tour for 2 weeks though, because their bass player was sick. So he came back, and then I became the regular bass player in 2014.
Wow.
It'd been nice if you'd have done something interesting by now.
So
crap,
what are you waiting for?
Crazy.
So that's the long way around, kind of the musical history. But I've been lucky. I've been able to, so I wound up working at a software company, and there were times when I would kind of get down. I was like, well, I really feel like I should be out on the road, and I used to do this, and I used to do that. And I thought, I've gotten like 95% farther than most people that ever even attempt to pursue that career got. So I felt pretty good about that. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, I get that call. And I was able to do the software job and tour with Cracker for about a year.
Wow.
Then I was not happy with the way things were going with the software gig. So I started making my plan to transition into voiceover and use some of this gear I had been buying while I was.
Not to mention that amazing voice, Mr. Howard.
Now tell us more. How did that come about? How did you know that you had a penchant for voiceover and wanted to pursue that?
Because it was something I'd always been fascinated by, ever since a kid, and a huge fan of Mel Blanc, and just always loved it, always doing impersonations and things like that. And I was like, let me just see what this is all about. So I started doing some research, researched it for a few months, and I was like, yeah, this seems possible. And I got very lucky. A friend of mine who you may know, we reconnected on Facebook, and it turned out she was working as a VO. Her name's Shannon Torrance. So I got in touch with her, and she told me the other steps I needed to take, that I needed to, get some coaching of some sort, and that she would help me in any way she could once I had a demo and this and that. So I took those steps. So the class I took was in Atlanta. I'm in Athens. So we're about an hour 15 from where the class was. And I remember these dates so well because it was 3 Thursdays in April. And it was April 7th, 14th, and 21st.
Oh, wow.
So I signed up for this, went to the first one, no problem. The second one, I'm headed to Atlanta, and I hear, you know, Prince is doing his one night with a piano show in Atlanta. I was like, oh man, I could maybe call in some favors and probably get in since I'm here in town. I was like, no, but I got to go to this class. Got to go to this class. It was like, plus he loves touring, and you know he'll be back. So he wound up getting sick. Postponed that show. Made it up on the 21st, which was the last night of that class. And again, I'm going through this, like, do I go to this class? Do I try to catch this Prince show? I was like, well, he'll be back. And of course, you know, that was actually, I've got the dates wrong. He passed away on the 21st, but it was definitely the 14th when he did the makeup show or was supposed to play in Atlanta. So yeah, it was kind of weird, but there was this thing that's like, yeah, even though you might be able to get into the show and you know you'd love to see this show, you've been talking about doing this, so you got to follow through with that. And I'm glad I did. And you know, from there, I wound up working with a coach named Cher Guthrie, and then we put together a demo, and I sent the demo to Shannon the next day, who sent it out to some agent friends, and I got my first agent.
Oh yeah.
Very nice.
And I love it, you know. It's my ideal job. You have to play with microphones every day.
It's true. And read scripts and, you know, every other way, no, not to Sunday, right? Just read copy any way you feel like it.
Yeah, it's fun.
It is fun.
And I can do it when I'm on the road. I've got a nice little setup that I take out with me. And
tell us about this travel setup, young man. People are going to want to know about that.
Well, actually, my good friend Steven hooked me up with my little...
You got a friend named Forrest too? Your daddy's named Forrest too?
Sure do.
That's my favorite part in any movie. Are y'all brothers? we are not related.
We are not related.
We have no relation.
Yeah, so, you know, I check it on the plane. It gets loaded into the tour trailer, and then I pull it out every night in hotels.
Yep, I see you got your 416.
Yep, and I try to get to work before the drummer starts snoring. That's who I room with.
Yeah. Got to keep the rhythm section together.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Those things go sour.
Pretty tight rhythm section, you know?
Absolutely.
Without the rhythm section, there's no band.
Exactly.
Bass players are completely underrated.
I quit.
Be like, oh, you play guitar? So does Joey, Timmy, Johnny, Timmy,
right.
Joey.
Everybody wants to play the guitar.
Right. I'm the
Unless you're like a bassist.
Band. Oh, you're not helping load in any gear. Yes. I brought my microphone.
Yeah.
I brought my mic. I brought a cord too.
Step into my office, like, because you're fired.
As you should.
I absolutely enjoy being out on the road. But again, I'm making the most of this time off as well.
So how's the like you got VO and now you have music? Are the scales like tilting one way or the other? Or is it still like, I want to do music now, and now that you haven't been able to do it for I don't know how long?
Well, no, because I've been doing music, you know, nonstop since.
But I mean touring.
The touring. I've yet to reach the stir crazy phase. I do miss seeing the folks and being out and doing it, but you know, again, I'm a safety first kind of guy, so I want it to be safe. So you know, it'll be worth the wait. And the only show we currently have on the books is for October 2021 in Hawaii, so that's something to look forward to. Hopefully that'll.
Hawaii? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, being Irish, I don't like direct sunlight, but I mean, I think I would like to go experience Hawaii at least once.
Oh, I was so excited about going. And it's kind of funny because my wife rarely travels with the band. But I was like, hey, we're going to Alaska and then Hawaii. You know, I know your schedule's busy, but you should probably come to one of these. And originally it was going to be Hawaii. And she's like, I really think I want to do Alaska. It's so lucky that she chose Alaska because we at least got to go out and do that.
Alaska.
Yeah, it's beautiful up there.
I definitely want to visit Alaska before I go. I want Alaska, Hawaii, and Ireland are on my list.
Nice. Ireland's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
I just want to stand on one of those hilltops and be like, play Sound of Music or whatever else. I don't care. Just one of those theme like things where I pretend I'm like Leonardo just over. Then the gust of wind goes and I fly off. It's like, well, you know.
I used to go to Ireland with the fife and drum corps to play in the St. Patrick's Day parade. So
wow.
4 times. Over in
You ever been down to Savannah during St. Patty's Day?
Yes.
I love it. Oh my God.
Wild.
We wore colorful headgear and took acid and went on the parade. We got lost and we were where everyone was preparing the parade, and like I find my buddy laying down with people that were resting during the parade. I'm like, what are you doing? We gotta go, man. That it was a fun night. It was a fun day.
Sounds like it.
It was fun.
Yeah, we've played St. Patrick's Day a few times down there. It's pretty wild, for sure.
3-foot beer bongs outside of everywhere.
I don't know anything about it.
It's a good time.
I'm up here in the north.
So speaking of like being on the road and everything, and I know you like home comforts too. You know, tight family man. What can you get anywhere pretty much that's kind of like your comfort food or drink that kind of just set you at ease or just kind of remind you of home?
That's a good question. Probably I would have to go with, like, say, barbecue, because every place, even if it's, their style, I at least get to compare it to, what we have at home.
We have everything.
Yeah, and some people are real serious about their barbecue. We've played a few barbecue festivals, like up in St. Louis, the Q and the Lou. So, but yeah, barbecue always kind of gives you that kind of home feeling.
Awesome.
It sets a standard.
Yeah, absolutely.
You kind of know what you're dealing with too.
Yeah, and easy to have like your favorite places. I know where I'm going to go if I'm in like the Charleston area, or if I'm in Austin, I know I'm going to probably hit up Stubbs, or it's something to look forward to, and you can find it pretty much everywhere.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
Very good answer. Very good answer.
Thank you.
What about it? What's your drink of choice?
My drink of choice? That's a good question. I've been doing tea lately, and I can do it either sweetened or unsweetened, but that's been a thing. And my wife brought these little San Pellegrino things. They're amazing. Absolutely amazing. So yeah, that stuff.
That sounds
very
good.
nice. It's very good. Yes.
It's very good.
Very good.
My woman just made a purple sweet potato pie. It looks really wacky, but
crazy.
Yeah, big purple pie.
I'll probably actually be making a sweet potato pie later on tonight in preparation for tomorrow.
Some people,
I love to cook.
Some people, it's like sweet potato, pumpkin. I like both, but some people have their preference.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a sweet potato guy.
I'm doing sweet potato turnovers where I'm using like the empanada shells.
Nice.
I'm doing a sweet potato mix with some extra cinnamon and spices. And then I'm going to put some really high percentage dark chocolate, like small chunks. And then right before I put it in there, close it up, throw some of those mini marshmallows up there, flash fry or bake. That way it's got the ooey gooey of the, oh my God.
Oh, excellent.
I'm big for a reason.
You had Bryan there the whole time. He was like hanging on every word.
Yeah, absolutely. I was like, picturing it in my head.
Brian's going to send me a message. Are you coming up tomorrow?
Right. Are you delivering some now? Where are they?
Got to have the honey drizzle. Hey.
Absolutely.
That actually does sound good. You bastard. Now I want one.
That's a great idea.
It's out there. Use it. Be free.
Use it.
Don't think I won't.
Right?
This has now become a cooking show, ladies and gentlemen.
Right. Hey, you know what? We're about everything. We're talking about everything.
Hey. That's one of the things when I'm on the road that I tend to miss the most. It's my dogs and wife and cooking. It's that's the hardest thing about being out there. We got great fans and folks that I'll tell you, I'll never forget that we were in Orlando, and I'd been playing with the band a few years at this point. But I went out to eat, and I came back to the venue, and there was a line around the block. And it took me a while to realize that it was for our show. And that's when it kind of hit me. I was like, I actually play in some people's absolute favorite band. And it's like, I can't mess that up. You know,
the pressure's on.
I can't phone in a show. I've got to give them the show they're expecting. You know, at least what I can do personally, because that was just kind of mind blowing to me. You know,
well, Cracker's been around for a long time. I mean, they started out
as part of
early 90s.
Yep.
It's a part of my, generation of, like, I think like everybody, like when you're in high school, that generation, whatever you're in high school, that music, that tends to be the music you're in. And mine is 90s, and Cracker's a huge band for me.
Yeah.
Huge. It was so funny. It's kind of like how the three of us met. I think it was the same damn day, made it within like 5 minutes of each other or whatever it was. But we met each other so organically. And then to find it out, I'm like, oh, here, would you like this golden brick that I had just shit out because of the information you have just been giving me? But I mean, it's so nice to, like, because some people are like, oh, you don't want to meet your heroes. And I'm not saying, but it's nice to meet people that you have a love for before you know them. And then when you meet them, they don't let you down. I was just like, man, I freaking love this dude. He's great. Because, we always talk behind your back.
Yeah, it's been a very, very cool experience. And I am blessed to have had the opportunity. So.
Yeah, because Cracker had that video low on MTV rotation, just
it was funny,
endlessly.
Yep. And when I got the call about it, I knew 2 songs, and then they sent me the list of what they wanted me to learn. I was like, oh, I know this tune. I was like, oh, I actually know this tune and love it, and had no idea who did it. So
right.
And then there's still tunes like that that come up every now and then. And it was funny. So when I'm doing the first show with them it was the Toledo Zoo for that Bare Naked Ladies tour, the last summer on Earth. We're kind of running through some stuff downstairs backstage before we go on. Because again, this will be the very first time we didn't have any rehearsals. So I'm just going to go on. So we're just kind of touching on everything, make sure that everything's going to be in the right spot. And we're playing Euro Trash Girl. And Gina, Blues Traveler's manager, walks through. She's like, you don't know how to play Euro Trash Girl? It's like, everyone knows how to play Euro Trash Girl. They just kept walking out. I'm like, oh, great.
Girl. Fantastic.
But it went well, especially for, just having to learn the songs on my own and hit the stage for the first time together at a show was pretty wild.
That had to be a big moment for you.
It was. That and it was extremely hot that day. And I remember because anytime I would look down at my tuner, the sweat would fill my glasses.
Oof.
It was blazing that day. But it was it went really well. And that tour was great. We played 5 songs a night. Played 25 minutes. And,
wow.
Yeah.
Killed it.
And then got to hang out and, meet some of the fans and wander around the crowd, met cool people, hung out with some of the other bands. Everyone was super cool on that tour. So
that's awesome.
It was a great way to experience that level of touring,
So I have another question. It's not usually the typical question, but we always celebrate all the victories and the cool things and everything that we've done. I kind of want to know about maybe an issue where like the wind was taken out of your sails, or you were just gut punched and it took everything you had to get up and move on. And just like that decision made a huge change in your life in the way that you approach things or how you got through said situation. So the power of Bryan.
Well, obviously there have been a good number. I would say the way things worked out with the software gig, because again, I'm on the road, but I am working, and without getting too much into it, I felt I was investing a lot of myself in this company. And even though I had made it known, because again, I wasn't expecting to hit the road again as hard as I was. I had been talking with them about how I wanted to move up the ladder, and oh yeah, sure, we love to bring people up within. And then sitting back and noticing that it was never happening, that was like you said, a true gut punch, because you know when you're being passed over, and when you've not experienced a lot of that, it can be pretty traumatic, But again, it led to better things. So it's it was rough for a little bit, but then the world of voiceover opened up. So,
and that's worked out well for you. You've done all kinds of stuff. Can you tell us some stuff that you've done?
Well, I think
that
probably
you can talk about
the thing that's most recognizable was a census commercial this year. They are the heroes. It's about the census, some stuff for Boston market. I do a whole lot of videos for a big box store. A lot of instructional stuff, and I do a lot of corporate. So there's not a whole lot that's forward facing, but it's funny. I do a hunting show. This week on Quick Hunts, we're going back black, blah, 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 hunting whitetail. And so, it's
that's awesome.
It's fun. So I wind up advertising tree stands and things like that all the time.
That's amazing.
So yeah, I just kind of like to, I'm learning what I like and what I don't particularly like. Like I don't, unless it was written by a friend of mine or something that I was really into, I don't think I'd do another audiobook.
That's what I was going to, that was actually going to be my next question to you.
I've done 3.
Was what do you prefer to do? Because there's a lot of people who aren't into the long form narration, and they don't want to sit endlessly in a booth and edit for hours and hours and hours. I'm sure that's not you.
The people, I think it's amazing the people that can do that and that are really passionate about it. Because it's nice somebody's doing it, because I enjoy audiobooks, but I did 3, royalty share through ACX, something I could do before I really got started. In fact, the first one was one of those Westerns, A Fast Ride to Hell, how the Daltons took over Texas or something like that.
Now the Dalton gang's moving in on us.
Exactly. So I think in the 4 years that's been out, it sold 33 copies. And then there was another one that it was a terrible book. But it sold 2 in the last 4 years. And then I've got one that sold upwards of 13,000. So the way I look at it is this one book paid for my time for doing the other 2. I'm coming out ahead and I'm getting out.
I like that. Yeah. Speaking of that, do you, or let's give me some advice to anyone in either industry, or you can set it to one industry or the other, but they kind of go hand in hand, music, VO, entertainment, like not even to a newbie, just anybody who could have been in it for a while, just a piece of advice for everybody.
A piece of advice, just be true to yourself and, find something you love and see if you can find a way to make that the way you make your living. Those seem to be the happiest people that I have met, people that genuinely, truly enjoy what they do. And I'll tell you, there are people that work in restaurants that I know that truly enjoy what they do. And, that what they say is true. If that's the case, then you never really work a day in your life. And obviously work. Some jobs suck, but
absolutely.
But still, I'm involved. I get to communicate with these people. I get to see things on TV that were recorded in my house.
That's cool.
I just love that. So I couldn't be happier. And I feel a lot of empathy for those who are really going through something with the whole lockdown situation, because it's almost like a survivor's guilt. Because I work from home, I'm not alone. I've got dogs. Obviously, I don't get haircuts, so I don't really.
You're so pretty.
I don't need to leave.
We don't
Hey, trust me, me and Steven are jealous as hell. Like, I just want to stand by you. You can drape some over my head and be like, "Hey, man,
oh, luxurious hair,
luxurious."
But yeah, I barely need to leave this room to be happy. So I feel fortunate and blessed, and I like that I get to recognize that, and while it's happening.
Gratitude.
Yeah, Cracker has a song called "The Golden Age," and I'll actually sometimes think this is my golden age, because I'm happy. What more can I ask for? And with the database, it seems like that's actually helping some other folks get work. So
yes, tell us about the database, please.
So the African American voice actor database is just that. It's a database. You just have to be over 18, of African American descent, and have a professionally produced demo to be on it. I don't represent anyone on there. All I do is put a database out that lets people know that these folks are working. So I get several hundred visits a week. So, and again,
matchmaker.
Since I'm not representing anyone,
matchmaker, make me a match,
and no one signed me, I have no idea how many jobs have come about. But I know that it's helped folks get works, and
you're doing an amazing selfless service. And how many, even in our industries, music or VO, how many literally selfless services are there?
I don't know if it's really selfless, because I enjoy the byproduct of knowing that people are working. So
well, okay, well, you get your own out of it too then.
Yeah, so that's what I get out of it, and I enjoy it. It can be a bit overwhelming at times, because it's just me, and sometimes it takes a while for me to process the folks and go through the submissions. But there are over 250 voice actors on there.
That's awesome, man.
There's only so much time, right?
Exactly. But yeah, I always get excited when somebody sends me an email, either saying they got a job or that they were able to find the talent that really fit the job that they had been looking for. And so, I get those emails fairly often, which makes me very happy.
That's often. Did you share that website? I just want to make sure that you did.
It's AAVADB.com. So the African American Voice Actor Database, AAVADB.com.
There you go.
.com.
That's awesome.
For all you voiceover people out there.
It's funny.
Oh, I have another ridiculous question. Imagine that. So if you could have any superpower, what would the power be?
I think it would be the power to read minds, because I could always be a step ahead that way. Because obviously I've thought about this.
Right? It could be good and bad, right? Be like, I thought Carol liked me.
Or you wind up with some really almost useless superpower.
I have spaghetti hair and it grows every day.
Or I can read Finnegan's Wake by James Joyce and actually understand it. But just totally bizarre.
Totally useless.
Oh, that's funny.
Here's a question for you all.
Oh, God.
And I'm sure somebody's asked this before, but do you have a word that you can't stand seeing in a script or in copy?
Yes. And it's really funny because it's where I live. It's America. But for some reason, my brain and mouth always says America.
America.
I can't get past that word. I'm always like, in America. They're like, America. I'm like, son of a bitch, America. That's mine. That's been my nemesis word forever. America.
See, what about you?
Anything I can't pronounce, literally. You know, I look at this and I've never. Was this a word? Is this even a word? Did they put? What is this? But I know you do a lot of medical narration. Do you endlessly use that little tool that helps you pronounce stuff, or are you smart and you just know what that word is?
No, well, my wife's a nurse, a cardiac nurse. So
well, that helps.
I'll just say, how do you say this? You know,
see, you live with a database. That's not fair.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
And your wife also likes to dabble in something that you're interested in.
So
just like right next to you.
Yeah.
There's a Fender something next to you. Or maybe not. There's like an amp right next to you.
That's a
head
can. Big B15.
Ah, okay.
Actually, I do have one right here. So I've got this fascination with little amps, and to get more of them into the house, I decided I need to start making them. But my wife is the woodworker, so she does the cabinets.
That's
Good
ridiculous,
job, man. That's so pretty.
And this is the very first one we did together. It's just a little Champ clone.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that a Champ? That's awesome.
Yeah. Little Champ, and then we've started getting a little more branching out a bit.
Are you getting sophisticated over there, Bryan?
We've done 4.
Oh.
We sold a Champ. We have this one. Actually, I think we did 5. So there were 2 Champs. We bought a Rickenbacker Electro chassis from the 30s and rebuilt that.
Wow.
With 3. And then I bought this box off of eBay that was just filled with like amp parts and tools for working on amps and a few amplifiers that were in pieces. So there was all the makings for a Fender style reverb tank. So we built one of those.
Wow.
And then the one that I use the most is a Fender Princeton reverb clone that we made. But she's a fantastic woodworker.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's really good.
That looked ridiculous.
Yeah, none of that is easy to do what she's done. None of it. Not a bit. All that takes lots of time. Especially different tools and how the miters and the joinings and all that. There's such precision that goes on with that, and you can't hurry any of those processes. And if you do, you'll be able to tell. If you skip, woodworking is just kind of like you guys know, making a beautiful song. There's so many layers to it that people will never understand. So kudos, dude. Kudos.
True.
And it's great, working on something together and having to figure out issues. Well, if the chassis fits in this way, how are we going to make it do this? And so, constantly have something to work on.
True. But we all worked on something together.
Exactly.
We did Losing Ground with Jared Breshers.
Blast.
Such an honor to have you two on there. Am I kidding? You guys are freaking awesome.
That was great.
You guys are ridiculous. You guys are awesome to me.
No, it was a lot of fun, and hopefully folks have been listening down.
Oh yeah, I get some compliments.
Nice. You got anything else in the works?
Been playing around a lot. I've been working with some local talent, but it's more like R&B, hip hop type. Writing my own stuff, and I kind of want to go back and revisit some songs I've written in my past. Now that it's time to kind of redo some stuff, and I know some pretty good musicians.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, it's that's the thing that's been really a plus is that the technology now allows me to work with folks, from home.
I was just thinking that. I was like, man, if 20-year-old me could have what I have right now, my life would be completely different. Just the technology and the function. It's just like, man, you did not have hardly any of these opportunities just from the technology that you had. Yep. I mean, I remember back when you're running off 8 tracks and recording this and trying to match them up. And it's just like you burnt your tapes, and now you can't record on that tape no more because you tried it too many damn times, and know. So
trying to dub down from the dual cassette player so that you could.
Now everybody's really punch and roll, and I'm.
Yeah, I mean it's amazing that we're able to produce the the quality, you know, from home. And again, I'm a gearhead, so it's an excuse for more gear. You know, so
like somebody else we know, Bryan. Yeah, I hang out with two gearheads, and I find myself always wanting more.
Guilty as charged.
Yeah, guitars are harder to get into the house, but you know, microphones are
right.
See, this doesn't even show all of my stuff. This is just, you know, a snapshot of this part of the room.
I can only imagine.
Let's not go there.
I got my first Firefly, and I love that thing.
Oh yeah.
Where are they made?
Those are made in China, and probably the deepest, darkest China. I have no idea. I mean, it's like,
I don't even know how they're making money.
because they're throwing it, the parts they put together, it's like you can't even buy the pickups and the stuff and put it together for how much they're selling it for. So
I've been hearing good things.
I don't know how they put these things together. I really don't.
No idea.
Yeah,
they're awesome.
Gorgeous. I mean, they're beautiful. Beautiful guitars. I mean, you can't get finishes like this that look like this for $200. You just can't do it.
And my wife got one. It was $220 to the door.
Yeah, I mean, delivered.
Beautiful.
It's just stupid. Heavy, you know, like a proper, you know, it's not light or anything. It's a heavy mahogany, and it's just great. Fantastic.
Nice. Yeah, I'm not the best guitar player, but I just love them.
I'm
looking at them. They're fantastic. But you know, some of the parts, you know, it's pot metal. It's whatever they have lying around. They throw it in a big pot and melt it down. Soda cans and, you know,
soda cans,
whatever.
Well, you know, it's perfect for a guy like me who likes to tinker anyway. Replace things.
They're perfect guitars that if you want to have one and just kind of go crazy on it and put I want to screw this on it and I want to make this into it. Like
one more question that I asked Steven, and I haven't been able to ask this question since.
What have I done?
Most of the time I'll freaking forget about it. Bryan, you have to build your perfect band. Who's in your band?
Who plays bass, drums, guitar?
I mean, you know,
you're
if
gonna
you want to
bass.
take a break from the bass, that's fine. But you know, I know, right? Anyone from any time in music, you could have Mozart on the piano. Doesn't matter.
Okay, so that opens it up.
Hell yeah.
Wild. Well, Prince would have to be in there at some point, and it would truly just be his band. So,
yeah, if you put Prince in charge, he would be the man in charge, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's just no way around that. You know, a drummer I love is I would love to play with Steve Gadd. Something about his playing.
He was the guy I chose for my band.
I don't know.
Something. The first episode, you'll see.
You know, I would have Benmont Tench, I think, on keys, and from, you know, the Heartbreakers, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. And I don't know, Mike Campbell. I love the Heartbreakers. So Mike Campbell is one of my favorite guitar players out there, just as far as, you know, just a feeling and
nothing more than feeling.
I knew you were going to
like that. Overplay or anything like that. And yeah, so that would be a pretty killer band.
What's the name of your band?
Mighty Bigamy.
Mighty Bigamy. That's
wow.
Awesome.
Dude, you came up with that really fast.
That's too. Freaking fantastic.
Just seems so. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Hilarious.
Mighty Bigamy.
Mighty Bigamy. So what else? What do you got working on?
Your song comes on. As you can tell, man, we are nothing but serious here at VO and Stereo.
No kidding. So what do you got going on musically now?
All right. So, you know, honestly, I've been working with both David Lowry and Johnny Hickman from Cracker for their solo efforts. I don't know when those are coming out, but, you know, David will send me something. Johnny will send me something.
Are you playing producer?
No, I'm just since I can track drums here, the drummer Carlton will come over, and then I'll just track him and put bass on it and send it back.
Oh,
now
okay.
does Carlton ever do the Carlton?
No.
Damn it, we need a video of Carlton doing the Carlton.
It's a must.
Come on, Carlton.
Yeah,
it could be done.
We're rooting you on, Carlton.
So yeah, that's I've had this thing that I've been messing around with for a few years. It's the soundtrack to a movie that doesn't exist.
Hell yeah.
So, yeah, so it's I think I'm just going to release it in some form. Honestly, I think I'd love to work with like a comic book artist and release it with
like graphics,
something, even if it's just like an album.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been working on that, and then you know, friends just send tunes, and I'll put bass parts on them. And send
friends.
And yeah, you know, just I'll get an idea and just come up here and just mess around. I got a bunch of stuff that, you know, will probably never be heard, but that's fine, because, you know, it's just the release, the getting it out, you know.
That's the tough part.
Yeah, because make no mistake, I am not under any delusion that everyone needs to hear everything. I'm fully aware of my limitations.
Yes, I have a large
Pardon
back
me,
catalog
but do you know who I
myself.
am?
Stuff that people will never hear. But when they're over here, I have fun spinning it for them. Hey, listen, I wrote back in 1989. They're like,
yeah, exactly. You know,
don't you want me, baby?
It's just for, you know, partying, and, you know, someone comes, oh yeah, check it out. But you know,
do you listen to records?
Not as much as I should.
See, you look like a record dude to me, man. See, if I had to guess, I would have thought you had a huge record collection and like really killer decks and all that stuff.
I've got a reasonable, you know, the problem is I do things in phases. Like I'll be really into vinyl for a bit, and then it'll just stop, and then I'm on you know, something else. So I tell you, the record that always gets played when I do play records is a record called Chester and Lester Guitar Monsters. Are you familiar with it?
I am not.
It's Chet Atkins and Les Paul.
Okay.
I did at least 2 of these records, but the one that's just called Guitar Monsters is
I think actually I do know, now that you're saying that, I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I love that kind of I like anything as long as it's good.
Well, that's some upbeat
like
music.
Real, what's that?
I said that's some upbeat music.
Yeah, you know, I dig that. As long as the people seem like they're really feeling what they're playing. And again, I would rather have somebody listen to someone who may not be the best instrumentalist, but is really putting their heart into it, as opposed to some virtuoso who's really just, you know,
playing
like
a lot of notes.
I wrote, and notey.
I love those guys that when you walk into me like, hey man, you play music? I've been playing for 35,000 years. Oh, fantastic, cool. You jam something for me? Yes, I can on my $11,000 instrument. Here, watch. That's fucking great, man. Hey, can you play me something you've written? Written? An original idea? Surely you just idiot simpleton. I can only play others' music. So you've never written anything? No. Bye.
It's kind of crazy.
It really is, but I run into them all the time, and they can play by ear and they can do everything else. But you're like, hey man, make up something on the spot. They're like, you're out of your mind. What do you mean? It's like, wow, you've never jammed? Some of the best times I've ever had in my life is when you walk into the room as a musician and you feel that fire that grows over your skin like this wave, and then everybody's into it, and like nobody even exists except for the people that are playing the music.
Because it's like, it's this language that we know. You know, we know it well enough to communicate with each other. You know, might not always be perfect, but I think that's the thing about it's kind of, you know, almost like a secret club that everyone's allowed to join.
You guys can just practice and learn. We're waiting for new members. Come on.
Exactly.
Man, I've had so much fun in this interview.
Oh, it's been a blast. I always love, talking about music and voiceover. It's
Well, you've done a lot, man. You've done a lot of impressive things too, which is really cool. We've been waiting to have you on because you live in both worlds, and the show is about one or the other usually, but they really do intertwine.
absolutely.
Like the rhythmic, like me and Steven try to tell, and a lot of people other will say, if you're musically inclined, you have an ear. It's much, much easier to understand copy because everything has a rhythm to it.
Exactly, and it's each piece of copy is like a little song in a way, and you got to know. And there's usually, if it's well written, a little intro. You got your midsection, and then you have to tie it up. And it just listening to the way that I find them extremely tight knit as far as like the way I would approach trying to play a song with the way I would try to read copy. Try to find the spots. And it's not just words on a page, just like it's not just notes on a page.
They may be the same notes, but are you going to play them the exact same with the same tenacity, the vibrato, the energy, the passion behind them? You're going to let it ring out just that extra split second that makes it punch. It's yeah.
Yeah, and and the self-discipline. Do you have what it takes to keep something that like you really want to embellish and I know I could do this and I could do that, but what it calls for is steady eighths or something like that, and then ultimately that makes things better because you're not just trying to show off your chops and cluttering it up, and you got that nice steady rhythm, something that people can relate to.
Being a bass player, keeping it in the pocket. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna be here in the pocket. Y'all let me know when y'all ready. I'll let you know. Okay.
Yep. Who is it? Tony Levin said he became a bass player because he was cool with doing the same thing over and over again. And there's nothing wrong with that.
The dude's wild, man. He puts those long things on his fingers, and he's like, it's wacky. I don't know what those things are, but they're like finger extensions, and he's like slapping the bass with them.
Mallets on them, and it's stuff like that.
I do that with bugles.
They're endless.
I do that with
the bugles. I'm like,
I'm a creature.
I'm just kidding. I'm too big now. They don't fit on my fingers. I try.
Yeah, just if why not? If you got it, just indulge the ideas. So,
well, that's awesome.
Life's too short.
Well,
that is very true.
Brian, where can everyone find you?
BryanJHoward.com. BryanJHoward.com.
Now, are you adding the J because there's another Bryan Howard out there?
Well, there was when I was in junior high, and I would come home and my mom would be freaking out. I heard you got into a fight today, or like heard you
like that was the other Bryan Howard.
A pencil lead broken off in your ear, and invariably it was the other Bryan Howard, who spelled his name with an I, but I just threw in the J, and I've always stuck with the J. And the funny thing about J is it actually stands for J. My middle name is J-A-E. So I don't know.
That's awesome.
See, you threw that in at the end.
Making it work.
Nobody knew that until now. So
you just dropping information like spices. Here you go. Here you go. A little bit more. Here you go.
Yeah, it's the folks kind of like, with that, just like kind of endow me with this love of wordplay and little things. My mom was a reading teacher. So she actually told me that she had done an experiment with me growing up where I was the fourth of, 4. And she said, I really never did a lot of baby talk with you. And I think about that now in terms of like what I do for a living, and if somehow that influenced it. And obviously she was, extremely strict about grammar. So I'll actually see things in copy, and sometimes it just pains me to read it, but I don't.
I'm that guy. I'm sorry.
And sometimes what I'll do is I'll read it the way they have it written, and then like the next take I'll fix it.
Let me punch this up.
Anyone either,
Let me punch this up a little bit for you.
So it's I always thought that was interesting that she said she had never really done a whole lot of baby talk and always talked to me like an adult.
And
that's not to say that she wasn't affectionate. And
nobody's saying that. Hey, look, nobody called child services or anything. This is that serious.
Oh my God, I want to hug you. I just want to hug Bryan. I'm on my way, Bryan.
Yeah, see, he's close enough. He can come and help you out.
Yeah, actually,
right? It's very cool.
Yeah, you got to go up to Athens sometime.
I love Athens. I absolutely love the 40 Watt Club, all that fun stuff, dude. Internet. Oh.
And I was thinking about you because, like, before all the lockdown and all that, I had gotten really into going to just the little open mic night comedy shows here. I'm fascinated by stand-up comedy. I don't see how anyone can do that.
I love when people tell me, well, if you can do it, I can do it. I'm like, yes, you can. Now get up there and do it.
Yeah, now get up there and do it.
Dude, I'll tell you what, I'm scared shitless until that last step on the stairs. Like that last, and when my foot is on that last step, before I get on there, I'm terrified. I want to run. I feel like throwing up. But as soon as my foot hits that stage, it's like I turn into a completely different person. And I'm there and I'm like, you have to turn into a different person to be able to do that shit. It is scary. It's so scary.
I couldn't even imagine, especially, I mean, because people ask me, well, what's it like when you're on stage and there are all these people? And I was like, I'm used to it by now, but I also have this thing in front of me, So it's a distraction. With stand-up comedy, it's just you. And how do you?
I love it because people are like, well, I'm funny. I'm like, dude, there's a difference between being funny here, interacting with people, and you being the only one in the center of attention and being funny to everyone.
Yep.
I was like, you're going to get gutted.
Yep.
So.
But yeah, I love going to those little open mic nights because I also love watching, I see a lot of the same folks, but watching some really progress, and you can tell like who's putting in the work. I listen to a lot of comedy podcasts. Again, I'm fascinated by stand-up comedy.
Time Suck is one of my favorite podcasts.
Time Suck. I'll have to check it out.
Awesome. The Genghis Khan episode. It's ridiculous. That man fornicated a lot.
Yeah, he sure did.
Still like 15 million people that walk the planet right now with his bloodline. 15 million still.
Yeah.
That's a lot of.
Yeah.
What else was he gonna do?
Right? He's like, I'm killing. I'm a little bit tired. You got some wine. I'm gonna rest over here with my lady friends. How you doing, Betsy?
They didn't have TV and video games, so they had to do something.
Modern Warfare. I don't think he wants to play more Warfare, man.
For real, he wanted to play Modern Warfare.
Yeah, he did that for real.
Yeah.
It's his day job.
Oh God.
His night job was making people.
Well, he did a lot of cool things first. There's a reason he took over as much area as he did, but that's another time and all this other stuff.
Yeah, that's a whole nother show. That's,
right. Well, I'll wrap it up then, I guess, for today, guys. That's another amazing episode of VO and Stereo, and I said amazing because I know what I'm looking at. As always, I'm your host, Jared Breshers, along with my partner in crime,
Stephen Coghill.
And thank you so very much, Mr. BryanJHoward.com.
Woo!
Right? Check him out, guys. Thanks for coming. We'll see you guys later.